What's up, everyone? Connor O'Hanlon here for another episode of the Greater Society podcast. And today, unfortunately, I will not be joining you live on YouTube. This is a pre recorded episode of the show. I will be spending the night bringing some younger activists and future political leaders to a fundraiser for state representative candidate Tim Brennan, who is being joined by state representative and former guest of the show, Representative Malcolm Kenyatta. So that is where I will be when this goes live. So unfortunately, I have to pre-record this beforehand. Fortunately for us all, there is plenty to talk about here today, and I have a lot of clips and a lot of things that I think you guys will find engaging and maybe enraging that you will probably want to leave a comment on as you see this go live. So, with that being said, what are we actually going to be talking about? We are going to be diving in, and the in the past we have dedicated a lot of episodes and a lot of segments of the show to maybe criticizing and spending time on talking about the Democrats' response to things, the good, the bad, the ugly. Sometimes this episode is gonna basically solely be talking about Republicans. So whether you like that or not, hopefully you do, but for those looking for like the real progressive critique and analysis of what's been going on here in Pennsylvania and across the country, this is it. This is not going to be any basically talk of Democrats today. Today is a Republican talk show, but not in the supporting Republicans. This is a very critique heavy show. That being said, we're going to be talking about first Florida governor and Texas governor, so Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott, both doing these political stunts, sending migrants, misleading migrants, and using them as political pawns in their game for potentially running for president come 2024. And then we will dive into the far right swing we continue to see our country taking with the Republican Party, specifically Donald Trump. We will also loop back with DeSantis and others like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And of course, we will bring it home here in Pennsylvania with our very own Doug Mastriano, who, again, is a very real threat to become our next governor. So, with that being said, let us dive right into the thick of it. And that is an issue that we have not talked about very much on this program so far, in at least this iteration of the show, is immigration. And if we want to take a look back at the history of the United States, the United States is a nation of immigrants. Yes, right? Like the rhetoric. In reality and in practicality, immigrants have always come to this country looking for a better life. That is a fact. Immigrants in general usually don't leave their country. They don't migrate from their country without that goal in mind, saying, hey, this land of America is the land of opportunity. We can go get jobs. We can go provide for our families. We can do this, that, and the other thing. Now, of course, they don't always just come to America. Migrants go many other places depending on the situation that they're in, whether they're refugees or they're migrants by choice, or they have family some other place. I mean, there's a million different ways or reasons to immigrate, emigrate, etc. But America has always had that like land of the immigrants, the melting pot. And although this is true for some people, a lot of the times the immigrants that have come to this country have been not always, but a lot of the time treated as others, treated as outsiders, treated as aliens, as you might hear some of my right-wing compadres call them. This is a way of otherizing and dehumanizing immigrants when they come to the country. Now, why would they do that? Why would somebody intentionally do that? Well, the demonization of another group, the xenophobia, that's what the fear of the other is baked into the ideology. That fear is what drives people on the right, a lot of them, to vote, and to vote for the right-wing authoritarians who are going to, quote, protect you. So the rhetoric around this is utilized and is ginned up all the time. It's ginned up right before elections, if you happen to notice. For example, in 2018, when Trump was president, what was the biggest story at the time? Now, you guys might not remember it. Maybe some of you do. It was the migrant caravan that was leading into 2018 of these people coming in. Oh, they're going to take your, lake houses, which I don't have a lake house. Most likely you don't either. They're going to take your beach house, your mountain house. They're going to come in and do all this stuff. They're going to take and we'll come back to the stereotypes later, but they're going to, come in, they're going to take our houses, they're going to do all this stuff. They're going to take our jobs, and then they're going to take our welfare and our tax dollars. Now, of course, that's paradoxical, but we'll come back to that later. What the Abbott and DeSantis authoritarian administrations are trying to do and use as political stunts is take migrants. By the way, they're not illegal. They are undocumented, but they are not illegal. Why do I say this? They are undocumented because they are seeking asylum. Now, how do you seek asylum in the United States? Does anyone know? Oh, wait, I'm not live, so I'm just kidding. The way that somebody seeks asylum in the United States is that you have to be on American soil. So there is in the past, there has been a path for you to walk over, over the border, basically. It's not so simple, but go through the border, become processed by the Customs and Border Patrol. You are given a court date to appeal your case, and then you are granted or denied migrant status or refugee status or asylum status, however you want to put it. Now, it requires you to, in theory, break, and I'm putting this heavily in quotes, the law, because you have to cross the border to seek asylum. So, while we have folks demonizing, otherizing, ginning up xenophobic rhetoric, 2 million border crossings have been processed and arrested and then taken care of, whether through deportation or through the actual process of asylum or whatever they're seeking, under the Biden administration. 2 million in a year. This year. So that doesn't even include 2021. This is a stat that came out today. Like, I'm talking about today. I'm recording this on Tuesday. If that's the case, where a record number of arrests are happening, then how is it that we have a, quote, open border? How is it that these people want to claim that we have an open border? Remember, the people that are being shipped to Martha's Vineyard, which I didn't fully dive into what they're doing. Those folks are not just, it's some guy from Mexico that just jumped over Trump's ill-formed wall and now he's here. Like, that's not what happens. I mean, like there are people that do smuggle, there are people that do human trafficking. Those things exist. Of course, there are ways to combat that without making immigrants the target of your ire. But DeSantis and Abbott are using taxpayer money, millions of dollars, to take buses and lure migrants by lying to them about saying, oh, you'll get a job, you'll have health care, you'll have a place to live, you'll have all this stuff. And of course, like, that is by itself deceptive, but it's also playing into the oh, like, see, like, that's what they want. They just want to have, everything provided for them. And so again, it's building up this stereotype that they're trying to build. And again, these are asylum seekers. And then he's shipping them, basically, because that is what he's treating them like, goods or basically product to be used in his political stunt, because he does not, and I say he, mostly this is DeSantis getting the credit for this, and whether you want to call it credit or not, he is using them in a political stunt to bolster his electoral process, his electoral prospects for 2024, because he is a bigot. He's using them because he does not care about human life. He does not care about human dignity. He does not care about coordinating with the federal government or other state governments. And they are utilizing this as a stunt to say, see, all these liberals, they don't want these immigrants either. Of course, not noting that when you get processed, when there are processes for these immigrants, they usually get transportation to different states, to different cities, to where they want to go, to where they want to work and live, and might have family, and might be able to get their court dates in due time. Now, again, we talk about this because the court dates that are set for these people are not even close to where DeSantis is dropping them off. So if their court date is in Texas, he's dropping them off in Martha's Vineyard, which is in Massachusetts. They are deliberately choosing a place that is supposed to be a, liberal haven. And of course, liberal haven to them is saying that, oh, these wealthy elite people, rather than stating that, like, actually there's a giant chunk of the country that would welcome these people with open arms. And actually, if you look at the videos, a lot of them are welcomed with open arms and literally given vaccines, medical care, and taken care of, packages. But they're sending them to places, to cities and to towns where they're ill prepared because they're not used to the influx in one shot. Now, if you look at New York City has been getting thousands of these migrants sent by DeSantis and Abbott, deliberately targeted as one of the cities, because they're trying to overload a system. They're not trying to actually provide for these people the real process that is supposed to be due. If you took 1,000 people and spread them out throughout the country, it's really not that hard. But if you threw 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, keep going, in one shot, in one place, of course you're going to overload a system. Now, what they ignore and they try not to bring up is that there is investment and there is government funds dedicated to help processing through the Customs and Border Patrol, through ICE, however you want to, label ICE. I am not a fan of ICE. Through the Department of Homeland Security, there is investments in the southern states to process these people. But they are deliberately misappropriating and spending money, taxpayer money. And again, Florida is not the state that they're crossing in, which is also much more of a problem that we should be looking into. But they're not crossing from there. But he is spending money to ship people from Texas. And I'm utilizing that rhetoric because he is treating these people like animals. He is treating these people like products. He is treating these people like political pawns, and they're not getting treated the way that they should be. He is I'm getting heated because these leaders don't give a shit about human life. They want to wrap themselves in the pro-life flag, but when a migrant needs help, when an immigrant comes with their family and says, hey, I'm here to make a better life for myself, this is America, we're supposed to fight for the little guy. We're supposed to bring me, you're tired, you're weak, you're sick. I mean, I don't know the exact phrase on the Statue of Liberty off the top of my head right now, but that is what we're supposed to represent. That is the best of America. Immigrants that come to this country seeking a better life, to work for a better life for them, for their children, for the future generations, for the betterment of the country. And they're used as a political pawn. They don't, not only do they not care, they hate these people. It is so apparent that it leaks off of them. The disregard, the hatred, the bigotry, the xenophobia around this from DeSantis, Abbott, Trump, and the like. The fear that is stoked should scare you into thinking, okay, well, why are they so afraid? What are they so afraid of? And this leads you to the stereotype. And again, I shouldn't even have to say this, but Obama and Biden both deport a ton of undocumented immigrants that cross the border illegally. The people that they are using in these stunts are not illegal. They are not breaking laws. They are following the process set forth by the and if you think that the process is broken, okay, we agree. We agree that the process is broken, but your proposal to what we should do must be material. It must be pragmatic. It must be possible. It must be comprehensive. But the right wing, especially these folks, are not looking for compromise. They're not looking to build a stronger process for immigrants. They're using them. Now, let me just quickly debunk some of this stuff. Where of course, we talk about the paradox of somehow illegal immigrants, as they are labeled by the Republicans, are both lazy, but also stealing our jobs. How can they both exist at the same time? Of course, they can't. Now, of course, if you look into the actual specifics, migrants do work jobs that Americans don't want to work. Migrants get paid less than the average American. Rather than saying we should punish the businesses that hire migrants, which they never actually do because they are overwhelmingly pro-corporate, rather than saying, hey, we should actually give these people a pathway to citizenship to provide them a way to, make money, legitimately, pay them living wages, and then process them properly, they allow the business to get away with it and want to demonize the individual for fighting for a better life. Now, of course, if you were an average American and you were just saying, hey, I'm living the American dream, I'm just going to fight for my family and protect my rights and work, then of course that's the rhetoric that they would use. But this is what these immigrants want. And then second generation immigrants are also much more likely to start businesses. That's how you see all these CEOs and businesses that are immigrant run. That's a good thing. And then also the tax funding of welfare programs is, well, let me rephrase that. The amount of money spent on immigrants is a net positive for the United States government. What do I mean? Immigrants, specifically migrants from the southern border, pay into the system more than they take out of the system, because a lot of them end up getting, and again, now this is breaking the law, but maybe if we provided them a different outlet, they wouldn't have to do this. And again, I'm not justifying it, but I'm talking through the actual logistics of real life. They do end up getting fake Social Security numbers in many ways to work. Now, who provides them? Their employers. So again, if you want to talk about the broken system, let's talk about the broken system. But the employers provide the workers with these fake employee Social Security numbers, and then they pay Social Security tax that goes in, or employment tax or payroll tax, I should say, sorry, that gets paid into the system that they will never get because they have fake Social Security numbers. This is why, like, all these like stereotypes of all these things that are happening. Yeah, of course, we don't want to just have migrants just pouring over the border, just saying like, yeah, like we're just here and like we're here for, you know, Medicare and Social Security, which isn't happening. Like this is what I mean. It's like, yeah, if that was happening, sure, that could be a problem, but that's not what's happening. So in reality, in practicality, we have to fight where the actual fight is. So let's take a look at, and I'm going to have to probably adjust the volume here, but let's take a look at I think he's in Bexar County Sheriff, which is going to be launching an investigation into our buddy, Ron DeSantis.
To the suspected investigation with regard to the suspected activities involving the 48 migrants from Venezuela that, as we understand it at this point, the facts of the case at this point, are that on Wednesday, September 14th, here in Bexar County in the city of San Antonio, our understanding is that a Venezuelan migrant was paid what we would call a bird dog fee to recruit approximately 50 migrants from the area around a migrant resource center on San Pedro here in San Antonio. As we understand it, 48 migrants were lured, I will use the word lured, under false pretenses into staying at a hotel for a couple of days. They were taken by airplane. At a certain point, they were shuttled to an airplane where they were flown to Florida and then eventually flown to Martha's Vineyard, again under false pretenses is the information that we have, that they were promised work, they were promised the solution to several of their problems. They were taken to Martha's Vineyard from what we can gather for little more than a photo op, video op, and then they were unceremoniously stranded in Martha's Vineyard.
See, that is the video here of them. I'm going to mute this because I don't want to get fully copyrighted there, but this is them. I mean, like, it's a political stunt. Like, that is a sheriff from Texas talking about luring and then sending them to Martha's Vineyard without coordination with the local government in Massachusetts, which is run by a Republican governor, by the way. Let's just talk about that for a second. A Republican governor. That is why this is so funny. It's not funny, but it's funny because like they're not even sending them to like a Democratic governor. Like, yeah, some of them are being sent to New York and Chicago and whatnot, but like Martha's Vineyard is the one being highlighted. Oh, because these wealthy, quote, liberals. Like, wealthy liberals are not the average liberal, first of all. They're not the average leftist. They're not the average person left of center. Like, why yeah, if you send a bunch of poor people, ignore migrants, if you send a bunch of poor people to a gated community, yeah, those quote liberals are not going to act the same way. We all know this. Like, I don't know how this is. Rich people are not, are not the exemplar of a political ideology unless you worship and lift up wealth as a part of your ideology, which the left does not. So it's such a political nonsense piece. Like these people are such pieces of crap, dude. It's absolutely nuts. But with that being said, let's move over, and I'm looking over at my other screen because I want to talk about this. This is, let me set the stage for you. So we obviously just talked about immigration. We just talked about how this is a political stunt for leading up into the midterm elections and potentially for, the 2024 presidential primary election season for the Republicans, because the Democrats aren't going to have any of that. But that's another debate for another day, I suppose. I'm gonna try, and we're gonna go line for line of this Trump speech. This Trump speech is scary. It's funny, but it's scary. It's funny because all these people are believing in this guy who is just a complete charlatan. He is a liar. He's full of shit, and they're praising him in like a godlike way. And now we will watch a clip about Marjorie Taylor Greene after it, saying that they are praising God. Okay, if that's the case, it's still the symbology of the whole thing. The linkage of politics and religion here, and of course Trump being like he's a really good Christian. That all of this is all intertwined. It's a very odd thing. But this leads us to the scary part, which is that slide towards fascism in the 21st century, which we obviously know that about 100 years ago is when that slide on the global scale started to happen throughout, especially in Europe, in the late 20s, early 30s, following World War I, and then into World War II. We can laugh at this, we can point out the hypocrisies of it, but it is important to note that even while doing so, the point is to point out the flaws in the rhetoric, the flaws in the ideas, the issues that he is raising, and the undertones of, that fascist. And again, people were talking about, oh, Biden has a red light behind him. This looks very fascist. No, like this. A speech with, church organs and all this stuff. And again, actually, I should point out, this song was written by a guy that named it Where We Go One, We Go All. Now, if you've never heard that before, I envy your, not ignorance, your innocence, because in this case, ignorance is bliss, because what that means is where we go one, where we go all, or where we go one, we go all is a Q-Anon slogan. Now, the song was like made an acronym, so it's like WGO, like whatever, right? Like the whole thing. This song is like a church organ behind Trump speaking. Like, this isn't edited. This isn't added in post. Like, I had to make sure that this was the actual video, because it's hard to believe this is where we're at. And Trump's struggling to read it. So it's like, oh man. Okay. So without further ado, let us jump into Donald Trump giving a speech. This is from Newsmax, of course, because this is the only places that are covering it anymore. This is Donald Trump, and I'm going to pause it a lot because I'm going to debunk almost every line as it comes up throughout this. So let us begin.
It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and it is hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. We will.
So here you go. For those just listening, they're pointing up to God, like, or Trump. I don't know. Like this is where it's I have no idea. On Twitter, people don't really have ideas. Like there's theories as to, like, yeah, they're pointing up to Trump, they're pointing up to God, they're praising something, somebody. It is not clear what this one, because they're pointing with their pointer finger up. So this could mean again, where we go one, we go all, again relating to Q, but we don't know. So we'll continue.
We'll stand up to the radical left lunatics and rhinos, and we will fight for America like no one has ever fought before. There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have.
And just hear how inspiring his words are. Those are so moving. His delivery is so smooth. And he will soon start dumping on Joe Biden, and it's just interesting because, like, his delivery is absolute garbage for a former president.
We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never, ever, ever, ever back down. As long as we are confident and united, the tyrants we are fighting do not stand even a small chance of victory. Because we are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and to God alone.
So again, intertwining religion here with politics, Americans kneeling to God and God alone, of course, ignoring the fact that multiple different religions exist within America. Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, the list goes on. Agnostics, different type. I mean, this is full right-wing authoritarianism mixed with Christian nationalism here.
My fellow citizens, this incredible journey we're on together has only just begun, and it is time to start talking about greatness for our country again. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious American nation. So with the help of everyone here today and citizens all across our land, we will make America powerful again.
MAPA.
We will make America wealthy again.
MAWA.
We will make America strong again.
MASA.
We will make America proud again.
Oh, MAPA again.
We will make America safe again.
All right, he's repeating the acronyms.
And we will make America great again. Thank you, Ohio. God bless you. Thank you, Ohio. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to stop it there because, of course, that's going to be copyrighted there. So that's actually just part of it too. There's a whole other thing, like, he talks about. I couldn't find the whole speech, but he starts going on about, like, Joe Biden, and again, obviously, he's like, Joe Biden is incompetent and losing his mind, and it's like, dude, you can barely read this, and oh my god. So let us go to, let's leave our boy Mastriano for last. So let's go here. Marjorie Taylor Greene live on RSBN, which is right wing, of course. Talk radio, AM radio, to be expected. So this is her response to the media and left wing, actually, centrist and left wing, I suppose, critique of what you just saw with them pointing the fingers up and with the song by Q, or, referencing Q. So here we go.
Yep.
Okay, so we have covered the fact that Democrats hate Christians, and now they're persecuting them by making fun of the way they point to God, and they're trying to say they're worshiping Trump and Mastriano and all these other people. They're insane. You know what? You know what's funny? they have constantly attacked me and said I'm a conspiracy theorist, but these Democrats and the blue anons on Twitter and oh my goodness, CNN and Morning Joe and MSNBC and all these people, they are the biggest conspiracy theorists.
Yep.
Okay, so we have covered the fact that
So I'm just gonna let the video play while she's pontificating next to me. But she says that Democrats hate Christians. Oh my God. The majority of Democrats are Christians. The people that they are so afraid of, specifically black voters, the people that they don't want to vote, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, people like Donald Trump, people like Ron DeSantis, people that, you know, want all these voter restrictions, want to get rid of the Voting Rights Act, want to get rid of the Civil Rights Act. Black Americans are overwhelmingly Christian in this country. Like, you would think if they had any sense, and again, I'm not trying to give them any sort of political advice, but if you would think, you would want to reach out the olive branch and say, hey, we actually believe in this same religion, maybe our interpretation, whatever, right? Like African Americans in this country are overwhelmingly Christian, and they make up a large portion of the Democratic voter base. A lot of white suburban women who also make up the Democratic voter base are Christian. Like, this is so stupid that because Democrats don't believe in the radical Christian nationalism that Marjorie Taylor Greene believes in, that of course it is not. We demonize and we hate Christians. This is such ridiculous crap. Now, let's ignore her for now, and let's go back to what she was talking about. Oh, why are we talking about Mastriano? Why are we talking about, they're praising Mastriano? Well, that is because at a Democratic rally, and again, or not a Democratic rally, sorry, a Mastriano rally in Pennsylvania, where he is running against Josh Shapiro, which, by the way, vote for Josh Shapiro. Doug Mastriano is having a rally where I actually don't know who this man is giving the speech, but the crowd is going to end up, doing this worshiping thing. And again, if this doesn't ring like fascism to you, this is like way more beyond the pale of Biden had a red light. This is like developing that hive mind. So let's take a look here.
And we'll do that by putting our right hand in the air on the count of 3. If you're willing to do this, can you say what they said at Gettysburg? When you see us lined up as one, sweep down the hill to victory. On the count of 3, we'll bring our hand down as one. Father, I pray that indeed Pennsylvania will be like Little Round Top, and America will have a new birth of liberty. As one on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. As one! Thank you.
So again, I'll let that run in the background of the video, but Mastriano, the guy that was in the Confederate uniform, they're talking about Gettysburg again, which in Pennsylvania, for those who don't know, and I guess most people probably do know, but it's like the most bloody bloody battle on American soil ever. And with them referencing this stuff, they're talking about war. They're not talking about democracy. They're not talking about fighting for representation. They're talking about war. They are chanting like they're going to war. They are utilizing these symbols and these movements like they are going to war. This is the stoking of violent rhetoric. This is the type of thing that makes people afraid. This, intertwined with Christian nationalism, is why we cannot just bend the knee and say, yeah, we can compromise, we can come together and agree on things with these folks. This is Doug Mastriano, a sitting state senator's campaign. This is at his rally. This is the guy that it is Josh Shapiro or it is Doug Mastriano. This is the type of things that we're talking about. The intertwining of prayer at every single one of these events should be alarming. even if you're a Christian, because you should want to include other people in it. If it was just a religious thing, that is fine. No, nobody is saying that you shouldn't be able to pray, but to then intertwine it with your politics and the intertwining of all of this in public is scary. Is scary because they're demonizing people. They're using xenophobic rhetoric about others, just about general others, like whether it be immigrants, different religions, etc., Democrats, political differences. You know, they're making shit up about people with being groomers. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. This should alarm people. This should alarm people. And the last thing I want to talk about here with Mastriano is I have a clip of him saying that that the Democrats on the ballot, Josh Shapiro and John Fetterman, again, vote for John Fetterman as well, support eugenics because they support abortion rights. So let's hear from this lovely young man who definitely does not represent the Confederates more than the United States of America.
Why do you think that people like Shapiro and, Fetterman said that he wouldn't name a single abortion restriction? Why won't they?
They're so beholden to this radical.
To be fair, I think this interviewer is from the Daily Caller, a right-wing outfit, just so you all are aware.
Vision of America by Margaret Sanger. Sanger wanted to use abortion as eugenics to remove Italians, African Americans, Latinos, anyone that didn't look like her.
And of course, this is exactly what the Democrats want to do, because that makes total sense.
And that's somebody celebrated by Joe Biden, somebody celebrated and honored by my opponent Shapiro, somebody at a Hillary.
And of course, the irony is not lost, I guess, on him that Josh Shapiro is a Jewish American. Like, talking about eugenics and then saying that Josh Shapiro supports eugenics, like, I don't know, like, if he just thinks, if Mastriano just thinks everyone's stupid, maybe he does, maybe he actually believes this stuff, who knows? It's really hard to tell, but this is the type of rhetoric that is going to get people in some serious deep water. And again, Mastriano is an insurrectionist, so.
Clinton considered a mentor. I mean, are you kidding me? Somebody, and let me lay it out for you. So my opponent supports abortion as it is right now in Pennsylvania. About 70% of the abortion clinics are in minority neighborhoods. Now, the African American and the Latino population make up less than 20% of our state population, about 18%. But what's not talked about, this eugenics, it's about half of our abortions, over half of our abortions in Pennsylvania are coming from that small part of our population. Under Mastriano, we're going to defend life because life matters. Well, my last thought here is Hillary Clinton is reputed to have asked Mother Teresa why there hasn't been, a female president yet in America. And I think Hillary Clinton was hoping that Mother Teresa would say, oh, it's going to be you. But no, Mother Teresa, brilliant lady, a lover and defender of life, said you probably aborted her already.
So again, one final time, intertwining of religion and politics, alluding to Mother Teresa, alluding to all of these different things that don't really make sense, just throwing words that sound proper, and they utilize the rhetoric of being the white savior for aborted Black and Latino babies when they don't really care about that. Of course, ignoring the root causes of what that happens, whether it be lack of healthcare, which provides access to birth control, which they also don't want, whether it's providing abortion clinics in densely populated areas because that's where more people are. So of course the majority, like just logically speaking, if you had the population of Pennsylvania, the majority of the population is in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and then the suburbs around those areas. So of course you're going to have densely packed areas with those highly dense access to abortion clinics, which are going down now, by the way. the access to the abortion clinics, of course, not actual abortions, because that's not how this works. Access to abortion, access to birth control reduces abortions. So if they actually cared about reducing this, they would provide health care to people, they would provide alternatives, they would provide birth control, but that is not their goal. They do not care about that. Mastriano is one of the most radical people that is running in the country right now, and he is definitely the most radical Republican in the state of Pennsylvania on the ballot. So you have to make sure that you vote for Josh Shapiro come this November. So with that being said, this is a shorter episode. I am still coming back from being sick, so that also helps that I can get a little vocal rest. So with that being said, if you're watching on YouTube and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button down below. You can do that and hit the bell button to get notifications for when a new video goes live. Hopefully you've been seeing the clips that go up on Mondays and Fridays, and the regular show that goes up on Wednesday. The podcast, the audio version of the show, is available on Apple and Spotify as well. You can just look up Greater Society Media or Greater Society Podcast, or you can just look up Connor O'Hanlon. I'm sure it'll come up that way as well. And then you can follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter and at Con O'Hanlon. And for as little as $5 a month, you can support the show on patreon.com/Greater Society Media. We are on TikTok and the new Discord server, which you can find in the description box down below. You can join us there for political commentary, suggestions for the show, clips, etc. Promote your work there as well. With all that being said, thank you so much for hanging out with me, even though I will be hanging out with Malcolm Kenyatta. But for future episodes, please do send suggestions in the Discord or to greatersocietymedia@gmail.com. But until next week, stay safe. Peace.